My name is Evan Deutsch. I'm 20 years old, and for the past 8-9 years, I've been struggling with dissociative identity disorder. It all started around 7th grade when I was struggling to start going to sleep. I recently changed from going to a Catholic school, which I had done previously for the last up until 6th grade, all the way to 7th grade, which I transitioned over to public school. And then stress, new friends, everything started coming together like a bad storm, and I didn't know what to do, who to reach out to, and it was just problematic for me, my family. It was just not a good time. One night in 7th grade, I had the great idea of raiding my cabinet for all of my ADHD medicine, which was prescribed to me at the time. And I thought it would be a great idea to stay up for as long as possible under the influence of that medicine. Little did I know that it was going to cascade into a series of problems that I was unable to handle and needed serious help for. I started staying up for quite some time, 7 days in fact. And after the end of that 7 days, I started losing myself. Part of me, in a way, broke off, almost as if it was a baseball hitting a glass window. Different shards of me just fell off. And putting them back together was very difficult because it means that myself is now 14 different aspects. And I didn't discover all of them until quite some time. From high school all the way to college, I took a lot of time trying to figure out what was the best way to start putting myself back together. With dissociative identity disorder, you aren't you, or at least you aren't who you used to be. You become someone in a moment, a flash of who you used to be. For example, one of my personalities was named Steven, and Steven, Stephen, at Trial, was the sad part of me. It was everything that I couldn't handle that made me sad. And so that in itself manifested its own personality, and from then on, he became the sad one. And on and on and on with all these different personalities, all these different aspects of myself. And so after a while, it took me years to put myself back together and understand who I was and how I can manage all of my personalities together. When you live with dissociative identity disorder, it's like falling asleep and waking up as somebody else. Or rather, that moment when you were a child and you fell asleep on the couch and you woke up in your bed the next morning is almost as if it was the transition from one personality to another. You don't become you, yourself becomes a different aspect of who you can be. And it's very difficult to try and cope with that and try to live your life as best as you can when you don't understand who you are. And it took me a while, a very, very long time, to try and make sure that I can understand who I was. Come around college time, I started to put myself back together. It took me a while to find all the broken pieces, and now I could start mending them together. With a lot of therapy and a lot of help from all of my friends, my therapist, my family, and everybody who I met along the way, gave me different ways that I could deal with what I have. And I wasn't alone. All I had to do was reach out to all my friends and family. And after a while, I was able to put myself back together, and everything started looking up. And when I finally became one piece again, I felt more and more peaceful every day. Thank you. So dissociative identity disorder has a bunch of properties to it that everybody can get wrapped up in. However, I'm going to focus on what I like to call the time slippage of it all. And for this purposes, we're just going to be using 3 personalities of my own. We're going to be using Peace, Mark, and me. All right? Me as in Evan Deutsch. So let's say day 1, I need to go to school. So we all know what that entails. Get up, go to the bathroom, brush your teeth, everything like that. Get on the bus, go to school, and then come home for the day. Now, living in someone's shoes like mine, let's say there is an alternation, or your personality switches. So, let's say I wake up in my bed and I go to brush my teeth, all right? So that's the beginning of the day. That's me right here. And so I go and brush my teeth, however, a switch happens, and Mark comes out for a personality change. Now, all of my memory of me getting up and going to the bathroom and brushing my teeth is right there, but I won't be able to see what Mark sees up until I come back out. So let's say Mark gets on the bus, goes to school, and does periods 1 through 5. He goes through periods 1 through 5, and then there's a switch. So now Peace is in the field. So Peace is now in control. He doesn't know what happened at the beginning of the day with me or at the beginning of the day with Mark. So he has to pick up whatever he can from past clues, any pretenses, anything like that. So from here, he goes onward throughout the rest of the day, hoping that he didn't sign up with any plans with anybody and make something happen that he didn't know about, and going on through the rest of his day. So now it's the end of the day and another switch happens, and now it's me. In my perspective, Evan Deutsch's perspective, going to the bathroom and then waking up in the bus is a very weird and trippy experience. In many cases, it's also very dangerous as well, when you don't know who's in control and doing what. However, a lot of people assume that someone with dissociative identity disorder is going to cause trouble or be somewhat violent or unpredictable in nature. But that's more of a myth and an uncommon occurrence. A lot of personalities of mine especially were very different. However, they were mostly docile and normal. They were just different personalities, not necessarily anybody violent, no Ted Bundy types inside. So that is basically what the time slippage is. You stop remembering, and then you wake up in another place, not knowing where you are or how things are going to go. And it is up to, and this is something that I was very lucky to have the other personalities explain what happened during the time that you were gone. And it's very convenient that that happened to me. However, a lot of people don't have that ability or not that far along in their treatment where they can start communicating with their alters or trying to understand where they are in their life. So if you ever encounter someone with dissociative identity disorder and they have a switch or two and they seem confused or don't know what's going on, it's most likely they don't know what's going on because someone else had made plans and now another person is lost on those plans that were made, even though it's the same body. Imagine multiple people in a car, but changing drivers every now and again.
So, in your example, you, Evan, wake up and then a switch happens, say, once 3 or 4 periods into school.
Yeah.
The personality you switch into, are they seemingly just as shocked at being like, holy shit, I'm in school type, scenario?
From what I've heard.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
So
Imagine living your life in periodic snapshots. Imagine waking up in April and then not being alive and cognizant until September. Periods like that can last for that long, maybe even longer.
And you don't, right? It's not like you're asleep the whole time. To you, it seems like 2 seconds have gone by, but in reality, it's...
That, or in my case, I had this ability to just retreat in my own head. I had an own space inside my head where I could theoretically live in. There's bathroom and rooms and things that I could do during that time. However, in that time, it's almost as if it were a flash. I could have been doing things, interacting with other personalities, but it's more so of a dream, if you will.
Oh, so because you kind of described it as your personalities will explain what happened when they were in control. So it's not like you ever get the memories back of what happened when the other personalities were in charge.
Right. I won't be able to have a memory of whatever they did inside of their time that they were taking control. I will just have what they told me.
Can I ask a question? So how does that affect like school, as in like test taking and like knowing what homework assignments you have to do, and like just like the general knowledge that you learn like while you're in classes?
I've had to hope that someone who was studying or in taking that class was out and available to take that test. Literal knowledge will be stored in other personalities' memories and relationships and all these different aspects, attitudes and avenues of life that they want to pursue will be stored in these pockets that I don't have access to. It's like having a bunch of different save files of the same game on like different like USB sticks.
Right. So when a switch happens, is it like one person backing off and being like, hey, like you take control now? Or is it one person like, hey, I want to be in control now, kind of like get out of the way? Like, how does it, or if you're able to explain it?
Yes, it can be both of those or none of those at the same time. It depends on, dissociative identity disorder is such a misunderstood and very confusing disease to both people who are trying to figure everything about it out and the people who have it. For me, in my case, I was able to, I guess, call on people to come out at a certain time, but it was ultimately up to them whether they wanted to or needed to. I couldn't switch on demand. I could only hope that whoever I called to would come out. However, that wasn't always the case. It's not like I'm putting on a different mask that I want to. It's just a hope that whatever mask is currently on is the one that needs to be there.
I think that's about everything I was curious about. Do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, are you like, if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to, but like, are you on meds for this? And like, are there meds for it, or?
I don't know if there's medication for it, but I did take a lot of therapy, and I did take a lot of different therapeutic ways to deal with this problem. However, it seems the most effective way to me so far was just talking it out to a professional and trying to figure out the roots of the problem and how we can go about putting everything back together that needs to be.
So is that how you have been able to like get control and communicate with the other identities in you? Is through therapy?
Sometimes it can be therapy, sometimes it can be other methods of therapy. I personally couldn't tell you what is the right way to go about it. It's very situational, and it's very hoping that whatever avenue you take is going to help you in the long run, though maybe we haven't found everything that we could about this.